This is a lesson for Chapter 6, Section 5, titled Analyzing and Sketching Graphs. And so let's take a look at our first problem here. It says to match the verbal description with the part of the graph it describes. And so stays the same. So looking at this graph, we've got a horizontal axis down here and a vertical axis, and we're looking for when it stays the same. And where it stays the same is when the vertical axis, it does not change along the vertical axis. And all of these are changing along the vertical axis except for this one right here. So F is where it ends up staying the same. Slowly decreases at a constant rate. Constant rate means that it's going at a straight line. So we have a straight line, and so that's what I'm looking for. Since it's decreasing, I'm looking for it to go downhill. So since it says slowly, it's not going as steep. And so we see that this one is going downhill. That's not as steep compared to letter D. So I would say number 2 is C. So slowly increases at a constant rate. So increasing slowly, we've got 2 that are increasing, actually 3. But this is not at a constant rate. So these are the 2 that are at a constant rate. So A is not as steep, and so we would say, since it says slowly there, we'd go with letter A. This says increases at an increasing rate. So this would be letter E. See how it starts off kind of slow like A? But then as we get up here, it's going much faster. It's much steeper like it is with B. So E is an increasing at an increasing rate. So this tells us that we're dealing with a curve when it's an increasing rate. And then it says quickly decreasing at a constant rate. So quickly just tells us that it's going steeper. So that would be letter D. And then quickly increasing at a constant rate. So quickly increasing would mean letter B. So the other one that matches this one here, but kind of in the reverse order, would be number 7. I'll add on this one. Decreasing, or decreases. Decreases, let me fix that. Decreases at a decreasing rate. Let's say that. And so decreasing at a decreasing rate would look like this. So it's decreasing quickly in the beginning, but then it tapers off towards the end. And so that would be decreasing at a decreasing rate, in this case here. So that would be letter G, we'll say. Well, let's take a look at some other problems that we'll end up seeing. And this next one here says, describe the relationship between the 2 points, or between the 2 quantities. And so here are our quantities, volume and time. And what we're going to do is we're going to say what's happening in each of the segments. And so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments that we have to talk about. And so the first segment, the volume, and so we'll use what the graph is about. So the graph is about a balloon and the volume and the time. And so we'll say that the volume of the balloon increases at a constant rate. And so since it's a straight line, that's what's happening there. Then it stays the same. So we'll say that. So we'll say then the volume stays the same. Then it begins to increase again. And then it stays the same. And so basically what this is like, and then we'll say the last time here, then the volume increases at a constant rate. And again, the constant rate is just telling us that the volume is not changing. We're blowing, or maybe we're blowing up a balloon, and as you blow up the balloon, your breath kind of goes until it stops, and then you have to pull in air into your lungs again and then blow it up again. And so that's kind of what's happening in that situation. Where in this problem, it looks like sales, since they're talking about sales, that's what they mention up here, sales. Since the sales are decreasing at first, the dollar-wise, we'll say sales decrease quickly. And so the sales are decreasing quickly, and get that back on there. And then afterwards, we'll say that, and we'll say also sales are decreasing quickly at a constant rate. And then increase slowly at a constant rate. And so that's what we see here. And so using these words like quickly tells us that it's going down quite fast, where it's not as steep when we say it increases slowly. So this next one, we'll talk about horsepower, since they're using that phrase right here. So the engine power deals with horsepower and engine speed. So we'll say horsepower increases at an increasing rate. Then increases at a decreasing rate. And so we can see that as it's going up, it's definitely going a lot faster right here. That's that increasing rate. And then it's still increasing, but it's at a decreasing rate. It's not increasing as fast. So looking at this next one, we see that the grams, we'll say grams of the substance decreases at a decreasing rate. And that's what all of that's happening here. So it's decreasing quickly, but then it's decreasing at a decreasing rate down in this region here. So we'll say grams of the substance decreases. We could even say quickly initially, but then at a decreasing rate as time goes on. So if we just say decreasing rate, that tells us that we have a curve going down, and as it's going down from left to right, it's getting less steep. Where in this next one, they're talking about hair, and then the length is increasing at a certain time, but then it drops off. So let's talk about that. So we could say hair length, and I think so we'll say hair length increases, and it's increasing at a constant rate, increases so hair length increases at a constant rate, then instantly decreases. Then increases at a constant rate, then instantly decreases. and then it repeats that same pattern. Where in this next one, it looks as though the loan is decreasing. The balance is how much money is owed. And so we have the loan balance remains constant for a period of time, then instantly decreases. And we'll just say the pattern repeats. And so it's like you have to pay off once a month, and you have a certain balance that does not change, but then once you make that payment, then the balance changes. And then you still owe that same amount for a period of time, and then you make a payment, and that balance stays the same for a period of time, then you make another payment. So let's take a look at the last type of problem. And it says the graph shows natural gas usage in a house and describe the change in usage from January to March. So January is here to March over here. And so we'll say that from January to March, natural gas decreases at an increasing rate. So it's decreasing, and see how it goes up to a point and then it starts heading back down. So it's decreasing, but then at a quicker rate as it goes down. And so from January to March, natural gas, or we'll just say the gas, decreases at a constant, or at a increasing rate. And then from March to May, so from March to May, that's this area here, you notice how it's going to head back uphill. So now it's decreasing at a decreasing rate. And so decreasing So from January to March, gas decreases at a increasing rate, but then from March to May, it's decreasing at a decreasing rate because it's going to head back uphill at the following months. So those are the types of problems that you're going to see on tonight's homework. Good luck.